Welcome to the Verdin Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. Got to watch the NFL Combine. You got to watch some women's hoops. Their season's over. They're wrapping it up, heading into SEC tourney play. We'll break that down, our predictions on that, if you will, how last night went for the women's basketball team. Then, of course, we'll be breaking down Garrett Nussmeier's comments at the Combine. I'm sure everybody's heard about it, the injury. I was hurt all year. I'll give my spill on it. A lot of people are not happy with Brian Kelly, and I'm going to have an interesting take on it. And I'm not saying he's right or he's wrong. I'm just saying I'll be devil's advocate today because that's what we do here. Drop your thumbs up, drop your comments, questions, concerns, anything at all. Put it in the chat. I'm going to read it all stream long. Come on. Let's hop into the NFL Combine talk. First things first, shout out Microsoft. If you know, you know. Come on. Powered by Microsoft Copilot. Come on, man. Zay Thomas ran a crazy 40. When I mean crazy, I'm talking about smoke, gas, fire, whatever you want to call it. Awesome. Fantastic. I don't even know. 4.28. It's the fastest LSU wide receiver there. And I am on tape saying that I thought Chris Hilton would be the fastest LSU wide receiver. I was wrong. Zay Thomas, blazing speed. And I feel like he's had a very good, how do I say this? He's had a good role in LSU's offense. It's a little bit of everything. And I think that's kind of what he'll see at the NFL level. A little bit of special teams, a little bit of short game. Maybe they'll hand it off to him. With how they used him, rather, I think it's going to be more comparable to what other NFL teams are going to do with him. A little bit of a shorter guy, but that's not necessarily going to prevent you. It's just going to have you be disguised a little bit in the scheme. Now, for Chris Hilton, he ran a 4.41. Barian Brown ran a 4.40. I'd imagine both of their times will increase at LSU's Pro Day. Not too worried about that in that regard. Chris Hilton participated in damn near every drill he could have. Nussmeier threw a little bit. We'll react to that later. I'll pop up the throws and all. We'll do a side-by-side comparison at the end of the segment. But come on, we got to react to the injury talk first. We got to react to the comment he made saying that he was hurt at the beginning of the year. And let's just cycle this all the way back, because he was talking about the injury happening in day 2 of fall camp. And if your memory serves you correctly, there's videos of Brian Kelly addressing the rumors. First, it was a knee. They had other rumors get circled, but Brian Kelly was saying that the injury was a 1.5 on a scale of 10. And he said he re-aggravated a previous injury during fall camp. They even asked him about the knee, because at first that's what we're going with, knee tendonitis. That was the first thing. And he was saying, well, I mean, it's normal. Take 2 Advil and I'll see you in the morning, like kind of just joking it off. And look, maybe they didn't know how serious it was, right? And there's also another side of this as well that I'll break down. But my thing is that this is kind of interesting. One of the reporters asked him, right or left knee? And Brian Kelly stopped and he said, right or left knee? And he looks to the side and asked the communications guy. That's an interesting thing in hindsight to look back on, because you would think it like, oh, right knee. Right knee. That's what it is. It's the right one. So what he came out with the knee sleeve with. But then when you're getting thrown on the spot in the middle of a press conference, saying pinpoint where it is exactly, and you're not sure, little interesting in my opinion. Now, he did announce in September. I went back and I watched all the press conferences, all the clips, looked at the dates. I just tried to make the best case for him that I could, just because, everybody's jumping on the same narrative. In September, he announced the torso injury. They announced taking the plays back from him, not throwing it deep, sticking to the short game, sticking to the screens, trying to make it work through these little quick looks. And that's not his game. And it seemed a little evident that obviously the zip was missing on the ball, but there was no vertical threat. There was nothing. Not a Chris Hilton, not a Barian Brown, not an Aaron Anderson, not a Zay Thomas. There was not much in the vertical passing game. And in hindsight, it makes a lot more sense looking back on it. In October, Brian Kelly's on tape saying that Nussmeier's at the back end of his recovery, saying that things are going well, they're progressing, and that he should be able to get back to 100%, if you will. Now, this is where the devil's advocate approach comes in. Garrett Nussmeier's not telling him I can't go, coach. He waited for this moment for so long, so many years. What are you going to do? Just flush it down the toilet and watch it spin around and go down the drain? It's tough. You're a competitor. You're a dog. You want to go out there and show everybody what you can do. Like, okay, cool. Yeah, I got a little bit of a torso injury, but in his mind, maybe I can play through it. So you do have to contemplate that a little bit in Brian Kelly's instance. Is that, okay, cool, maybe he didn't think it was as serious back then, and he might have thought it was trending in the right direction, because maybe that's what he was getting told. Maybe that's what the reports were. And then at the same time, you do have to keep in mind, like I said, that sometimes you do have a player who will push themselves to that point, to a point of exhaustion, to a point of making an injury worse. Sometimes you're going to have doctors or trainers or assistant coaches step in and stop them from themselves. But in this instance, it didn't happen because of the value he brought to the team. You're the top, at that point, top 14 in the country. You've got one of the best quarterbacks. And I'm going to be just straight up with y'all. If Garrett Nussmeier sits on the bench through the first 3-4 weeks, it's an entirely different season. Entirely different season. And I know he's not 100%. And people are going to say, well, that is a disservice to LSU and just the overall team and the success and the chance of success, at least, that they could have had. I disagree, because if you put out Michael Van Buren, and I'm not throwing shots, I'm just going to give you my honest opinion. Michael Van Buren at 100%. I'm not sure if he's better than Garrett Nussmeier at 70%. And you kind of get to see that towards that back end of the season. And everybody's got their own opinion, but that's just mine. I think that part of Brian Kelly's decision and part of the reason as to why Garrett Nussmeier was left out there was because Garrett Nussmeier wanted to be left out there. That's all there is to it. It's the biggest year. It's the biggest opportunity, and he waited so long for it. I don't blame him. I don't knock him. A lot of athletes would have done it as well. Now, there was rumors. I had this one more thing written down. There was rumors of a torn oblique. Somebody came out and dropped a report. Oh, Garrett Nussmeier's getting sit down for the rest of the season. I think it happened toward like the end of October. And people were coming out saying it's a silly rumor, all this good stuff. Now, in hindsight, it don't really look as silly. There was a little bit of inkling in that. Now, whenever Nussmeier initially made the comment at the combine, talking about the day 2 injury and just the process and it prohibiting him from being able to throw, he did say that it was not LSU's fault. And it's kind of giving me the feeling that I think it was part of his decision to be able to push through it. And that's just my take on it. I know we've got a million takes in the building, but I think maybe at the beginning of the year, Nussmeier and company thought it could be salvaged, especially with how big the hype was, how much pressure, and then just how much, I don't know, excitement was building up around the team, especially after the Clemson win. I mean, that went successful, so it's kind of hard to think, okay, not going to be able to do it. Obviously, the Florida game when you're getting, 5 picks and you're scoring 20 points was a little interesting in my opinion. Now it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, there's a huge problem on offense. Sure, yeah, you can bring up the LA Tech throw, but it could have been a one-off. The real problem started brewing and being evident in week 3 when the offense was continuously being stale. Sure, yeah, you put 23 up against La Tech. But it's like I could see that being just an early season growing pain moment. Maybe you just didn't want to wake up to play for him. Who knows? Like I was giving him benefit of the doubt at that point. Now, it became more evident as the year went on. And then also when you look at the way he was throwing at the Senior Bowl in the Combine, he did look 100% healthy. He did look good. There was zip on passes. He was able to find receivers down the field in a deep target instance. Now, I don't know. It's just tough to pin it all on Brian Kelly, if you want me to be 100% honest, because I do think Garrett Nussmeier wanted to play himself. We're going to break down this film. Let me jump into the chat. What's up, Coco? Good morning, Damon, my guy. Blanche, he says, all right, let's pop this up. Makes Kelly negligent his contract as far as I'm concerned. Many of us were saying nothing needed to be said down after game 2, and I can see it. Staff could see much more. Okay, so, yeah, I'm interested in this because if you sit Nussmeier, let's flash it back even more because we're talking about game 2, the LA Tech game. Flash it all the way back to day 2 of fall camp. If you sit him down there, you potentially get a week or 2 before Clemson. And I'm not trying to say that you could have sat him versus Clemson, but that wasn't as tough of a team. I don't know. I think LSU's offense was going to be completely different without Garrett Nussmeier. And I don't think the offense was Garrett Nussmeier's problem. I think it was just a horrible situation. It was a lot of different moving parts in there. The offensive line was terrible. The run game was terrible. You can argue that the play calling was terrible. And then, yes, he was hurt. And he's not able to do the things that we had initially expected him to do. Sling the ball down the field. Find somebody vertically. Those type of things. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're going to need to do that at the college level, and that's obviously why they weren't able to have success. But I just didn't have, at least through what I saw with Michael Van Buren in fall camp, once again, no disrespect, just going to be honest, I didn't think he was going to be the guy at LSU. I didn't think he was going to be the guy going forward either. There was multiple times throughout the end of the year where I was saying LSU's quarterback next year is not on the roster. And he wasn't. And the backup wasn't on the roster. And then the third string wasn't on the roster. They completely overhauled that entire group. And I think it's because I don't know if they had something in Michael Van Buren. Sure, he was a great caliber quarterback. Sure, he showed flashes. That's fine. That's great. That's dandy. It didn't pan out when he got the opportunity. And that's what matters, in my opinion. Let's talk about Nussmeier's film review now. Let's jump into this. I got the tape pulled up right here in and of itself. I might get copyright struck for it, but I'm doing it. I love y'all boys. I'm going to make sure we get some content. Come on. All right. A couple of these throws, like I said, some great zip on it. Oh, let me turn these captions off. Great zip, though. He does look a lot healthier, if you will. These are some shorter passes. We're going to get to the vertical looks as well. There was a lot of times where he was throwing to Zay Thomas, too. Some LSU connections. I know that was making him right. Nice little ball. Getting to the target. I mean, sometimes when you see moments like this, especially at the Senior Bowl, pulls your heartstrings a little bit, man. What could have been? But that's football, bro. Half of the battle is staying healthy and being lucky in that regard. I think a lot of situations really don't get taken into account in that instance. So you do have to be lucky to be able to win a national championship. There's a lot of teams that suffer from injuries all season long, LSU being one of them. I mean, look at this rocket missile. Boom, to Zay Thomas, the LSU connection. See what I'm saying? Like, that's cheating. That's cheating, bro. No, I'm playing. But it's good to see chemistry getting relayed out there on the field. And it's also good. I'm going to say this. It's very good to see the LSU players shining on this stage despite the fact that this year didn't go to best. It's great to see Zay Thomas running a 4.28 and getting his flowers. It's great to see Nussmeier showing off the arm strength and saying, hey, I'm actually a top 3 quarterback. I know we're all talking day 2, but I really think Garrett Nussmeier can jump his stock. I'm just going to be real with you. I think he's one of those type of players where he's got the most to prove. I think that he's got the most upside, if you will. A.J. Halsey's another one of those names, but I mean, look, when you're throwing the ball around the yard like this, it's tough to not put you in the same breath as a Ty Simpson or whatever the case may be. I don't know if there's that many arms better than Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, you've had a lot of years of experience. Yes, sure. This one, hold up. Let me advocate real quick. My guy, got to put your arms up, boss hog. I'm going to say that was receiver, but who knows? Next one. Run it. That's when, I mean, come on. That's Garrett Nussmeier. That is the original gunslinger skill that everybody wanted at LSU. Not to say that, it was his fault. Just to say he's showing his skill and he's putting on display exactly what we knew was inside of him, exactly what we knew he was capable of, and what I think NFL teams need to see in terms of taking a shot on him as being a solid backup through at least the first few years. I think he can ease into a starting role, but I think more than likely he'll go to a team, learn under a veteran, get some stripes, and then whenever the opportunity presents itself, hopefully it's a good situation, and hopefully he's able to, capitalize. Obviously, Mendoza's going to be the first quarterback taken, but I think that there's a good argument for Garrett Nussmeier to be able to jump in there. That's my opinion. So we'll see. I don't know. Blanche saying, my understanding is most likely Nuss meant to say second week of practice. I don't know. I think he meant to say day 2 because the initial rumors of the knee injury came out that first week. So interesting situation, though. But like I said, it's tough to blame like Brian Kelly specifically because Garrett Nussmeier more than likely wanted to stay out there. I wanted to play his final year, and I don't blame him. It's a competitor spirit. And at the same time, I'm sure teams are going to realize that and notice it. I think he's going to interview well. I think the speed on the ball was fantastic. I think he showed off the arm. He showed he's healthy. He alleviated a lot of those concerns. It's going to be tough to continue to find knocks on him and his draft stock. Let's keep it draft related. The Saints break a couple of people's hearts here today. Here's my honest opinion. So I know people are talking about Jeremiah Love. People are talking about this. People are talking about that. I think your best odds right now is just to get a wide receiver. And you can go down the list and just say a million reasons why. The number one reason, the biggest reason, the elephant in the room, you traded Rashid Shaheed. I mean, it seems like right now that's one of your biggest holes. Of course, yeah, you can go down a list and find probably 2 or 3 more. Here's an interesting thought process, though. Last year, first year for Kellen Moore. Initially, you're thinking Derek Carr's your guy. Then you're going to Spencer Rattler. And then now you're with Tyler Shock. So you weren't really like putting the names or pieces around him to be able to get him comfortable or get him in the scheme, in my opinion. I just feel like now this next offseason is going to be trying to calculate, okay, what are we missing? What does he need around him? What can provide us the best chance of success to win this division? That's wide open. I think your obvious answer is add more weapons so he can throw the ball to them. Now, sure, you got some defensive holes, and there's going to be some names that could potentially slide, some undervalued picks, if you will, diamonds in the rough. It'll be interesting to watch, though, because it's all going to be dependent on who falls in their scheme. But yeah, I think now that you've got a lot of faith in Tyler Shuck, and now that you know that that's your guy, you just can build around him, maybe inquire what he wants, maybe inquire what he thinks you're missing. It's a lot easier in year two after reflecting on year one. What didn't work? What did we miss? What do we need to go out and get? What does Tyler think we missed? What does he want? Those aspects, I think, are going to be able to kind of make the Saints' level of productivity jump a little bit. Because last year it was a 6-win total. I think this year it's jumping up to 8. Hey, bro, you keep rising. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe you sniff the playoffs. I don't know. I don't want to get too overreacting. But just talking about the Jeremiah Love thing. So first off, his stock is probably going to be out of reach. I think that he'll probably get drafted before the 8th pick. That's just my opinion. Who knows? Even if he's still on the board, though, I do think that you can benefit from drafting somebody like a Mekhi Lemon or just a wide receiver that you can fill a piece. Because if you look at values, people, and you got to understand this, people are like, well, Jeremiah's generational talent. Okay, cool. I understand that. But think about the value and how you're spending your money. The wide receiver market in free agency is a hell of a lot more expensive than the running back market in free agency. So why would you not go get a young stud who can grow into a superstar and complement somebody like Chris Olave and save a lot of bread? Because that running back list is deep for the free agents. I already written them down. Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, who just got a ring, Rico Dowdle, who turned up in Carolina. Not to say that you need to go get a veteran in the running back room and free agency. Yeah, you got Alvin Kamara, so a young guy like Devin Neal can take the torch, and maybe, you don't even need to add more pieces. But if you want, this seems like the smarter way to go about it. I wouldn't necessarily draft him and put your team in an instance to have to spend more money in the offseason because of the position that you left out there on the board, uncovered, untouched. I think wide receiver is your biggest hole, and I think you'll have the most success if you're able to address that hole. That's my take on it, though. Now, in terms of what you do if you don't go wide receiver, I don't know. You got a couple of people. Nick Underhill is one of them reporting. Caleb Downs, maybe. But I'm just going to give you my honest take. Bro, he ain't sliding out the top 5. You can forget about that one. Ruben Bain, maybe. I can see that, especially with the measurement stuff, because everybody's getting all dramatic about the measurements again, just like they did with Will Campbell. Oh, my God, look at the arm length, the hands. It's not big enough. Oh, I mean, dog, before the game starts, or like, how many times are you really going out there in the offensive line with a tape measure and seeing that wingspan or the hand size? It don't happen much. We're going to forget about it after this week, in my humble opinion. But yeah, that's my take on the Saints. I think that they're better served going wide receivers, regardless of the hype, regardless of what people think. What if? What could Jeremiah Love do? What can he learn under AK? I mean, yeah, I get it, and it's good potential. But when you're in this system, when you're Kellen Moore, when you just saw 365 days of Saints football, and you know what you need to work on, I think it's pretty evident. I think it's pretty clear. Because going into the preseason, and I'm not throwing shots, but we're watching guys like Mason Tipton ball out, and everybody's turning heads like, can he be the next guy? Your room's barren. If you're saying that, your room's barren, and you've already dealt Rashid Shaheed to a team that got him a ring instantly. God bless. Don't mean to poke a bear, but I'm just saying that's your clearest hole. That move, that trade, in my opinion, tipped their hand on what they're going to be looking for. But I could be wrong. Let's close this out with some women's basketball talk. They finished off their season with a W on the road at Mississippi State. And look, Mississippi State played well. Kim Mulkey talked about it, saying sometimes at the end of the year, you got a team who knows they're in a tournament, LSU, and you got a team who's trying to fight to get in the tournament, Mississippi State, and they bring a little more firepower because maybe you're not as motivated. Not to say that LSU wasn't, but maybe that's why this game was a little bit closer than it should have been. Kim also doubled down talking about regular season being more important than the SEC tourney. She even was saying how, like, okay, cool, yeah, a team might need one more win, but in reality, these Cinderella runs in women's basketball, it's rare. Very rare. The men's team, yeah, okay, you can see it. But in women's basketball, it's dominated by the same teams. UConn, South Carolina, UCLA, LSU, now Texas. I mean, the same dogs are always in the hunt. So I can see her point where it's just like, it's not much to worry about it. If you lose, if you win, you clinched your seed. But here's one thing. I can see her caring If you look at the bracket, I could see her caring if that South Carolina rematch aligns. Because if you look at it, so LSU's a number 4 seed right now, and they play at the end of the bracket. They'll play on Friday in game 10, but they'll have to play. So Mississippi State will take on Florida. The winner of that takes on Oklahoma, and the winner of that will play LSU. If LSU beats that, and if South Carolina wins their game, they face off on that Saturday. So could be a very interesting little revenge moment, if you will, for LSU. Not to say you need it, not to say, I mean, who knows? You go out there and lose, maybe it does you a disservice. So I can find a million different ways, but I could see her point as to why not putting much stock in it is probably the best case scenario, because you've already clinched a top 3 seed in the tournament. You've already done what you needed to do in the regular season. You're already a top team. It's like, I don't know. It's not going to be a make or break situation. You've won a national championship without winning an SEC championship. We're going to remember natties way more than we're going to remember SEC titles, and that's just a fact of the matter. Michaela Williams, fantastic game. 26 points, 15 rebounds. Shout out the rebound bubble. Shout out Coach Bob. I'm donning it, the Bob bubble. I mean, this man's a genius. Every single thing he does, if it's film, if it's little gadgets at practice, even if it's talking and pumping up his players, genius across the board. She had a fantastic game, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say she'll be the centerpiece next year, especially because of the versatility. We're not just talking about her shooting at a 2 spot. We're talking about her also being able to transition and play the 4, which is insane because you've got size, you're able to defend, and then if you're rebounding 15 boards a game, as well as putting up that offensive output, that's going to be the MVP next year, dog. She could be the best player in college basketball, especially with the departure of Flage. Flage is gone. They're going to have to look towards somebody. Why not 12? Malaysia, she's keeping up the scoring output as well. 4 in a row of 15 plus. Look, Fulwiley's a dog, bro. I've said it. I said it last week. Great 2-way player. It's clear, though, that she's the spark of the team. When she's hot, LSU's rolling. When she's struggling, they need a little bit more extra motivation, if you will. 4 games in a row at 15 plus, but I got a better next-gen stat for you. Fulwiley has 2 games all year where she has 0 steals. Every other game, she's gotten at least 1. Most of them, she's getting 2 plus. The funny thing is, the 2 games where she didn't get a steal, she played less than 20 minutes in both of them. So hat tip to Fulwiley. Absolute unit on both sides of the field, or court, rather. My bad. But yeah, SEC tourney kicking off Friday for LSU. It'll kick off Wednesday for Miss State. I don't know. I know that Mulkey keeps saying she don't want to win it. Or not saying she don't want to win it, but saying she don't really care about winning it. Maybe just maybe this is the year. Maybe just maybe. Not focusing on it. And it just falls into your lap. I don't know. I'm going to double down on the take, though, just saying that the national title is obviously the most important, because we ain't sitting here talking about who won the SEC if they ain't able to win it all. I mean, shout out Georgia for being able to do it this year, but everybody's going to remember Fernando and Indiana's run. And that's just a fact of the matter. You got to get it done. You got to cut down the net. You got to do it in March. It's a lot bigger. It's a lot more important. I'm about to hop out of here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in with me. Hit that thumbs up. We will be live again Wednesday at 9 a.m. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day.